Today, my talk is going to be a bit from the industry perspective, more from what is reality on the ground. Mapan thuoga nungsaga ipunga thengnabaga ko room manungda leibaga kitang khenabaneba ko. So I come from that background, so I'm going to share that with you. So for me, like entrepreneurs, who's an entrepreneur? Like who is an entrepreneur and who is a businessman or a businesswoman? For me, a person who is an entrepreneur is somebody who solves a completely new set of problems, and for that you get paid a huge amount of money for doing that. For me, that's an entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship could be driven by innovation, it could be disruption, it could be finding a new business model. I think that's entrepreneurship. But if I am doing trading, if I am doing export, import, I think that is businesses. Both are equally good, equally fine, but it's your choice what you want to be. But since today is World Entrepreneurs Day, I will just share like what is an entrepreneurial journey like. I will not talk about myself, but I'll just talk about the general story. It's a brutal journey. Like it's a merciless, ungrateful journey. It's called an entrepreneurial journey. So many a times before even you take that first step, you think many a times, oh, I don't have money, or do I start this today? How much of research and study do I need to do, and all of that. So I would say that it's not an easy journey, but it is exciting for those people who likes adventure, who likes to get tripped and fall and get up again and start walking. For them, it's very important. So for me, I love adventure. I love adventure. Like tomorrow, if I completely fail and if I have to start from zero, I take a lot of pride in doing that. I take a lot of pride in building back again what I want to. A lot of you are also business students, right? And you know that Harvard has already mentioned, and time and again we use this, that 75% of the world's startups end up in failure, right? Let's look at some of the current realities that really happen in India. Like for example, we were so gung-ho about a unicorn called Byju's. We were telling our neighbors, Byju's mein padao usko. App low, hardware low, Byju's lahantam hello. Today, Byju's is in trouble, my dear friends. They grew too big, too fast. So this is just for your understanding. In the same way, I would not like to name some enterprises are there in Manipur which climbed up like to the sky all of a sudden, and today they have crumbled and they are non-existent today. So try to understand, from where things are happening. Nothing is wrong, nothing is right, but understand the world, understand the situation, understand the entrepreneurial ecosystem. People talk about, enterprises getting funded by angels, grants, VC, private equity and all that. As far as my organization, JCRE, is concerned, in all honesty, we are bootstrapped. From the very beginning, we were in a very difficult market 13 years ago where nobody knew about skills. We were the first to introduce skill training in the Northeast. We were also the first organization to introduce retail management before even Assam Institute of Management started in Guwahati. We did that. And we stayed bootstrapped. We never got funded. We didn't take grants. And we take a lot of pride in that. And, we are very satisfied with the way that we are growing organically. As an entrepreneur, I think you also have to be a leader. So leader is a very broad term. Many people can say leader should be like that, leader should be like this. But what I've realized is that, there are a lot of specialists in organizations. There are a lot of specialists in Manipur University. There are a lot of specialists in my own organizations, who are specialists in marketing, who are specialists in social media, who are specialists in branding, specialists in operations, in IT and all of that. But when you step into the shoes of a leadership, I think it's a completely different ball game where you look 360 degree. It becomes more generalist. You have to become such a generalist that you need to know everything. In the meantime, you also need to be at the same time specialist for that. And when I operate my organization, there are two things that I keep very close to my heart, through my learnings, through my mistakes, and through my failures, is that We call it, like in our organization, we call it 3G. So it's CEO, director, myself, and every week we have a must-do meeting between the finance and the accounts person and the human resource person. These are two functions that I will never let go of my chest. Why? Because business is about money. Financial allocation is important. Then comes the human resource allocation. If you do not allocate your human resource properly, your financial investment will go for a bust. So this too I keep very close to my chest. Other than that, there is something called relational capital that you build, a relationship with your customers by through your branding and promotion and outside people, and the structural capital, which many entrepreneurs in Manipur and the Northeast sometimes overlook it. Organization the same aga akogi manung chetna senba ngamdaba mapandagi ubdadi organization amani leba, but there is no internal systems, there is no governance for those organizations. That's why those organizations, since if they cannot develop systems, they cannot last very long. So that's a very important journey as an entrepreneurial leader for you to look into those matters. JCRE Group has 5 business units, namely Skill Solutions, which is the first in the Northeast. Then we knew that skill was integrated with higher education. Skill plus education is equal to employability for you. We knew this, that is going to come. So we diversified into higher education. Then we got into healthcare, which is a home healthcare called JCRE Meds. Then we got into home solutions as a captive employment of the Manipuri boys who keeps getting trained and not getting jobs. So, and the fifth one is we wanted to become the aggregator of a platform where job seekers and job creators meet each other. So how did this 5 units happen? I'm not saying that this, all the 5 units are fantastically very, very successful. I'm not saying that. In fact, 3 of them are startups. And the reason why startups are very important within an already established and consolidated organization is because and you start feeling that everything is fine in this world, not knowing that you're going to stumble very quickly and fall on your face. That's why big organizations like Tata's and Reliance will have small startups within their companies. That is the sole reason why big companies and stable companies need to have again startups, because you want to go to that nimbleness, you want to go back to that speed, you want to go back to that cross-functional, not like ye mera department hai, ye tera department hai, not like that, more like a cross-functional. So the bottom line is, how did we manage to do this 5? And we thought a lot about it, and we realized that what a blessing in disguise by the God, that skills is something when we do and we are in touch with the industry, right? We are with the industry whenever we are doing some skilling. So we do hospitality training, we are interacting with Oberoi Taj. So we exactly know that what the industry needs. So skill became the base for us to find more enterprises around our core enterprises. That was the whole reason about that. Now, let me touch upon 2 points since a lot of business students are here. Number 1 is business plan, okay, and the fallacy of a business plan. MBA to right? Business plan to okay. Business plan to matamda I should tell JCRE to matamda, because I was also an MBA like you and a postgraduate, and I thought कि ओजा ने तो ये सिखाया है, ट्रायल मारता हूँ इसको, you know. Then I made my business plan. I made my business plan very well. I spent a lot of time on it. Same room business plans. When I went with that business plan to the real reality which is outside waiting for me, when I went to that reality, I fell on my face. And you know what was my business plan when I started JCRE? It was, I come from the retail sector, and I'm a retail specialist. I talk about merchandising, visual merchandising, even I'm interested. And this is something which was very rare at that point of time when I came back to India. So I thought, especially the business students and entrepreneurs. assumptions never in chali do. The assumption is what? The hypothesis is what? Ki I say retail sector da thabak tawre ai high race never. And the assumption was that ki tham iba library ba mapanda library me amsana ai course lo tawre sin ai khali ba kan sin. Adu ai ne khali sin lupa changa da yon matam da mi changa lak matam da ai simu phang sin never. All assumptions, all hypothesis. But the issue with my business plan was that ki I didn't test my hypothesis. I mapan chala test with the customer. That was the biggest failure. And this failure, all the entrepreneurs keep doing. Paisa lawsulani, market test product launch and you start selling very hard and you see that it's unsuccessful. Right? So business plan really needs to have 4 things, according to me. The people who are working in that company, the opportunity that you are addressing, the pain point, and karamba context and like just in Manipur, like for the last 3-4 months, it's a a disturbing time right now, and we had COVID like 2 years ago. So that's a context. Inflation high, demographic change, all of that, and also to jot down in your business plan every possible thing that can go right and wrong. Okay, and in my entire entrepreneurial journey, what I really started disliking something, which I must say very frankly, is that now I've started to have a lot of dislike for people who predict future. Predict one future which has gone correct in the history of mankind. Risk and reward, an assessment of that. I hope I'm not boring you. No? Can I go for it? Thank you. Now, the fallacy of a perfect business plan. Business plans are phaieba. MBA da koi na business plan tambasi am phaieba ko. But there are 3 points where you can disagree with your business plan. Okay. The first point is business plan to what happens? You put in your income, you put in your profits, and you put in your cash flow projections for the next 5 years, right? Projections assumptions, hypothesis, so business plans rarely survive first contact with customers. Mike Tyson khangi ko? Mike Tyson everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth in the ring. So business plan has something like that. No one except venture capitalists requires 5 years plans to forecast complete unknowns. I thought retail programs was going to sell. The thing that I didn't know was that the people didn't like it. There was no customer for it. Okay? So these plans are generally fiction. Dreaming them up is almost a waste of time. Right? Number 2. Number 3, startup hyperzap. Tata company, smaller version nateva. Startups are not the smaller version of large companies like Reliance or Tata. They do not unfold in accordance with master plans. The ones that ultimately succeed, the ones that ultimately succeed quickly go from failure to failure. Your ability to fail quickly is what is important in entrepreneurial journey. JCRE also failed on many counts, but we failed quickly and we learned our lesson. So the ones that ultimately succeed go quickly from failure to failure, all the while adapting, iterating, and improving their initial ideas as they continuously learn from customers. Existing companies like Reliance and Tata, they execute an already working business model. For you, as an entrepreneur, you have to search for a new business model. Please remember this. Traditionally, business plan write a business plan, investors the pitch team assemble product start selling as hard as you can. When it doesn't sell, oh my God, right? So 75% of the startups fail. Now, the new technique which has been introduced, okay, which I'm sure some of the universities and then some of the leading B schools have started doing, is called a lean startup. And I'm sure you are aware of that. Lean startup it favors experimentation over elaborate planning. Planning to experiment. And for your product that you have made, seek customer feedback. over intuition like what I did. I assume to see this might sell. So seek customer feedback. Iterative design over traditional big design upfront. Minimal viable product to tawra matungda thola kanda. You put it in the market and tell them that will this sell? If it doesn't sell, then pivot, right? So the idea is to fail fast very quickly with your MPV before even you launch, and learn quickly and get that perfect product before even you launch, before even you start investing. Okay. So three key principles in lean startup. Rather than engaging in planning and research, entrepreneurs accept that on day one, you will have a series of untested hypotheses. Hypothesis in simple word, I assumptions, I guesses, ma'am. I see already trying to have it. Founders summarize their hypothesis in a framework called business model canvas. Have you heard of this term, business model canvas? Business students? Google it, search for it. Instead of business plan, when you have this business model canvas, it tells everything about the business in just one page. That's it. It tells you how to create value for your product and for your company. Now, the second thing is that customer development, customer discovery is an important way. Ako na khali sina hanas hazal laga ko ni yon yes inero. Ako na ano mo hali sina first speak to your customers and ask them what they want, and then we make according to what they want. So customer development, customer discovery journey is very important. In order to do that, please don't sit in your room or your bedroom. Get out of the building and start talking to customers and seek feedback. That's the number 2 principle. Agile development will be works hand in hand with customer development. Unlike typical year-long product development cycles, knowledge of customer problems, so you will be able to do the product needs. Okay. Now, I will give you two examples and end this talk. There were two founders called Mr. George and Lee. They founded a company called Blue River Technologies. They're from Stanford. Okay, Ivy League and all that. But more important than that is the thing that I'm going to share. They were developing lawnmowers. So they were developing robotic lawnmowers for commercial spaces. Like say MU daga ground taraga leragadi adudo motor peshala hogi. Their idea was that Dunyada leiba all these golf courses mayamda sigi robotic lawnmowers se tawra deploy tawgen khanmane. So it was in their idea, the guesses, the hypothesis ko. What they did was beautiful. They spent 10 weeks speaking to 100 possible potential customers. They spoke to everybody. And when they spoke to all the golf course owner, you know what they found out? They found out that none of the golf course owners or the resorts like this robotic lawnmower that they are proposing to build. So such a huge cost saving. They got to know that they will not have any market in the golf course thing. So they spoke to farmers. Farmers are a lot in the rural areas. So they spoke to farmers and found that there was a huge demand for robotic weed killers without chemicals. And can you imagine, within a period of 5 months, they were ready with the minimum viable product. Okay. And in the 9th month, they raised around 3 million USD and they were ready to go to the market. Just imagine. Within 9 months' time, everything this happened, from funding to building to MPV. So it is the same thing. I will give my last example. Japan is a very interesting country. India is a young, country, as mentioned by earlier speakers. Other Japan, they're getting old. The whole population is old, actually. Almost 80% of them will be like old people, But India is very young. So what happened is that there is a particular woman who is 86 years old and has become a grandmother, and she has had a very illustrious career. Like she has worked in, I don't know, God knows what. She has done really well for herself and for her family. That much I know. You get this old age homes, right? So they have a lot of money. So like a hotel, old age homes, so Japan is very technologically addicted and driven population. Everybody loves games there, children to adults. So she was getting bored. She was not getting along with other elderly people in the old age home. So she started looking at her mobile, and she asked herself that, is there any app for old people in Japan to play for time pass? So she asked the people in the old age home, do you have app for the elderly people? They said no. So what she did was, she did not give up there. She went to all the young those tech people who builds app, and she had a meeting with them and told them that, I get bored in the old age home. You guys build a lot of interesting games, PUBG to whatever that you build. Can you make an app for old people? They said, ma'am, with all due respect, I am 26 years old. I cannot get in the mind of 86 years old and build an app for you. So she came back very disappointed. And look at the will and the resolve of this woman and the entrepreneurial streak that she has inside her. Manasi Mayam said, when everything became close and impossible, well, you know what she did? She learned coding at the age of 86. She's a grandmother, and she started building the first gaming app for the elderly people in Japan, and it's $1 million venture now, and she's happily living in the old age home, being a millionaire and being an entrepreneur. So with that spirit, I will sign off. Thank you very much.